This came in from Luis Martinez, who said, Phil, did you see Fender raise the prices of the USA stuff? Yes, I saw that Fender raised prices on USA stuff, and I still see dealers giving you smoking deals on Fender stuff, especially Fender USA, Fender Made in Mexico stuff. So like we talked about before, the manufacturers are maybe raising prices still, but the dealers are discounting to get rid of inventory. Now, the thing about that, and this is my experience in the past, is that means that at some point the dealers will thin the inventories and then those prices will firm. The deals are because of the inventory right now. Once they are lower on the inventory, everybody's going to, pull back the deals. Phil, do you feel like CNC machinery is going to take over the industry? It took over the industry, so let's start there. To the point where the U.S. manufacturers will rely more and more heavily on them to cut on the manpower and save overall cost. So CNC machines are not the future. They are the now. We have to talk about whatever's coming next to be the future. Haas CNC machines, all these CNC machines, they are efficient. They pay for themselves very quickly. Okay. And not only in the time of how consistent they are and how good they are, but also the people not getting hurt. I need to give you a reference because this is the conversation that we have on this show, and the conversation is so hard. I've talked about this every time I talk about cheap guitars. You guys always say slave labor. Every time I talk about expensive guitars, you tell me that that's not what the working person can afford. And I get that. When I say you, I don't mean all of you. I'm talking about this, just the loudest voice. The loudest voice is always presented in the comment section, right? And the loudest voice always says, I won't buy a cheap guitar because slave labor. And the loudest voice always says, I won't buy an expensive guitar because, it's ridiculously overpriced. So I thought I'd share this with you. This picture was taken, at Fender. Okay, so I'm going to show you a picture at Fender, and then I'm going to show you a picture of something that was taken by Fender at a Panda Express. Here's what you're looking at. This is, for those of you listening later on the Listen podcast, this is a job posting at Fender at the factory for a buff and polished team lead for first shift. That is a supervisor position. They're willing to pay starting at $20.50 an hour. Keep in mind, this is Corona, California. This is essentially LA, where the nearest apartment to this factory is probably $3,000 a month that anyone would want to live at. So that is what this $1,800 guitar we're talking about earlier at Fender Guitar, the person that's going to run the team of people who are going to buff and polish that guitar, they're going to make $20.50 an hour is what they're willing to start the pay for this. This is a level up job, by the way. I want you to understand this. This is a person who's in the factory right now, and they're being told, hey, if you want to apply for a better position, you can make $20.50 an hour. This actual picture was actually taken. The next picture, which is side by side of it, is an actual picture, same day. This was sent to me by multiple employees, by the way. These employees went to lunch. This is a poster that Panda Express posted out in front of their entrance, and it says, service and kitchen team starts at $20.50 to $24.50. Shift leader and cook gets paid $22.50 to $26.50. Assistant manager, $26 to $29, and so on and so on. The point of this is not to say, oh man, Fender's paying less than Panda Express, although that obviously is accurate. And by the way, when I laugh, it's my awkward laugh. I always have to understand. It's like when I was in basic training, and they were like, what are you laughing at, McFright? And you'd laugh and they'd spit in your face. I'm not laughing. This situation becomes so awkward for me emotionally. I chuckle a little bit because I'm uncomfortable with it. I'm uncomfortable with this discussion because it's not a good discussion. It's a horrible discussion. My point is, yes, CNC machines are the future. The guitar that you are saying is overpriced, a person is building it. This is the decision they have to make today. Do I want to buff and polish some rich asshole's really nice American Strat, or do I want to serve orange chicken? Because it pays about the same. That is an accurate assessment because those are real pictures. Those are recent, by the way, within the last 60 days. So my point to this is, to your question, of course they're going to look at machines. The same reason fast food places are looking at iPads and machines. Labor's expensive, even when labor isn't paid anything close to what it's probably worth. So that's just the reality of this. And that's why I like these discussions because, I don't want anyone to ever think just because they concocted in their head that if you buy a $400 guitar, that employee isn't making enough, isn't making a living. But if you buy a $3,000 guitar, they are. Because the truth is, in this industry is not a high pay industry, and a lot of employees are not making a lot of money. So it's not so much that justifies buying the $300 guitar or buying the $3,000 guitar. I can't do that in my head even, so I can't tell you how to do that. But I want to have these discoveries because at the end of the day, this podcast and my channel is called Know Your Gear. It's about discussing the gear, the products, the industry. I don't know it. I just want to. And I think you do too. And that's what we're going to talk about. And that's what we're talking about this. So take that information, mull it in your head. I hope you come to some conclusion. You can tell me next week what you guys think of that kind of information because it's pretty crazy. But yes, I would imagine the manufacturers are going to as many machines as possible. If you enjoyed this podcast clip, you can watch the entire episode by clicking the link in the description or streaming it on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. You can also join it live every week, Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I hope to see you there. Until next time, know your gear.